And in that fragile afternoon silence, the question split the air like a crack of thunder. Awe, trembling and begging for an answer she'd waited her whole life to hear. If you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul of Light, because stories like this deserve to be carried far beyond our pain. The sun hung low over the crowded riverside cafe where Arion, a quiet, broad-shouldered single father, waited with nervous fingers wrapped around a chipped ceramic cup. Daylight spilled across the wooden terrace like warm honey, but inside him lived a storm still learning how to quiet down. He hadn't been on a date in 4 years, not since losing his wife, yet something in him whispered that today he should try, not to replace the love he'd known, but to see if he still remembered how to open doors without fear. Across the street, a slender figure paused at the curb, clutching a thrift store purse to her chest. Maelle, the girl sent to meet him through a blind date arrangement, stood frozen among the weekend crowd. Her faded denim dress fluttered in the late morning breeze as though she were made of something easily torn, delicate, anxious, but carrying a hidden strength she rarely let anyone see. She had survived more than her 26 years should have allowed, a childhood of abandonment, a teenhood of betrayal, and a young adulthood full of people who took from her without giving anything back. But today she had come because something inside her, tiny yet stubborn, whispered that she deserved to try again. Maelle stepped onto the terrace with a breath that quivered in her chest. She spotted Arion immediately. He looked older than she expected, tired, yes, but gentle, and carrying sorrow in his eyes the way people who lost love often did. She thought he would judge her. Everyone always judged her. But when he lifted his gaze to meet hers, there was no judgment, only a quiet surprise, as though he recognized a familiar sadness wrapped inside her smile. She approached his table, and before she could gather courage, those trembling words escaped her lips with a force she never expected. "Do you think I still deserve happiness?" She hadn't meant to say it. She didn't know why she said it. Maybe because the morning sun made her feel too exposed, or because Arion's gaze was too kind, or because for once in her life she wanted someone to tell her she wasn't broken beyond repair. Arion didn't answer right away. Instead, he motioned for her to sit. They sat facing each other in the midday glow, while boats drifted lazily along the river below. The city hummed around them, but the two of them existed in a small, suspended breath of silence. Maelle looked down at her hands. They were calloused from years of working any job she could find, washing dishes, packing boxes, folding clothes at a thrift shop. Sometimes she wondered if the world could see her scars, the invisible ones left by people she loved too fiercely and who left too easily. Arion cleared his throat. He spoke softly, like someone choosing each word with care. He told her he didn't know her story yet, but he knew what it felt like to question whether happiness still had a place in one's life. He told her about losing his wife, about raising his 6-year-old daughter Noriah alone, about the nights when loneliness felt like an uninvited guest who refused to leave. He didn't speak with pity. He spoke with truth. The cafe felt warmer suddenly, the afternoon light gentler. Maelle felt her heartbeat settle as she listened, as if someone was wiping dust off a forgotten corner of her heart. For the first time in years, she felt seen. Hours passed without either of them noticing. They walked by the riverbank, where the breeze carried the laughter of families and the distant honk of passing bikes. Arion told her how Noriah loved painting suns with too many rays, because she believed every person needed their own ray of light. Maelle laughed softly, a laugh she didn't know she still had. She opened up slowly, like a flower unsure if sunlight was safe. She told Arion about her childhood in foster homes, about the people who promised stability but delivered more heartbreak. She told him about the man who once pretended to love her, only to disappear after draining the little savings she had. She told him how she had learned to survive, but not to hope. Arion listened with the full weight of his attention. He didn't interrupt, he didn't flinch. He simply held the story she handed him, as though it were a fragile piece of glass entrusted to the safest hands she had ever known. As the sun climbed higher, children gathered near the river to feed ducks. Arion gently asked if Maelle wanted to meet Noraya. He had promised to pick her up from her art class nearby. Maelle hesitated, afraid of ruining something delicate by stepping too close, but Arion reassured her with a small smile that eased the doubt knotted in her chest. When Noraya arrived, she ran up to Arion with bright eyes and paint still smudged on her shirt. She glanced at Maelle, then offered her a sunflower drawing. "Because you look like someone who needs sunshine today," Noraya said with a matter of fact innocence that melted Maelle like soft wax. Maelle knelt to thank her, tears threatening to spill. Something shifted then, subtle yet immense. Maelle felt the warmth of belonging, something she had never truly felt before. She walked with them through a nearby park, watching Arion carry his daughter on his shoulders while she giggled. And somewhere between Noraya's laughter and Arion's gentle glances, Maelle felt something she had long believed she'd lost, the quiet possibility of healing. But healing never comes without fear. As evening approached and the sky turned golden, shadows of old memories slipped into Maelle's thoughts. She felt unworthy of the tenderness she was receiving. She worried she was a burden, a mistake waiting to happen. And as they reached a bench near the water, those fears grew claws. She stopped walking. She looked at Arion with eyes that shimmered but didn't break. She told him she wasn't someone people kept. She told him she wouldn't blame him if he changed his mind about wanting to see her again. She told him she was scared she would disappoint him and Noraya. Her voice trembled like a leaf in wind. Arion stepped closer, the fading daylight casting a soft glow across his face. He told her that she wasn't a burden. She was a survivor. He told her happiness wasn't something people earned or lost. It was something people deserved simply by being human. And he told her he wanted to see her not because she was perfect, but because she was real, and real was enough. Those words cracked open something inside her, something long sealed shut. They sat on that bench until the last of the sunlight began to fade. Maelle watched reflections ripple across the river and realized something quietly powerful. She wasn't afraid of happiness. She was afraid of losing it. But here, in the warm glow of an ordinary day, she finally understood that happiness wasn't a fragile dream waiting to break. It was a gentle truth waiting to be believed. And maybe, just maybe, it had been waiting for her all along. As the wind softened and Noraya leaned sleepily against her father's shoulder, Maelle felt a warmth rising inside her chest. Not the burning ache of loneliness she had carried for years, but something tender, steady, alive. She realized she didn't have to walk alone anymore, and the simple joy of that realization brought tears she didn't hide. If this story touched your heart or reminded you that gentle souls deserve gentle places, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul of Light. Your support keeps these stories alive for others who need them. Special request: comment below what part of Maelle's journey resonated with you the most. And in that soft evening glow, as the last rays of sunlight brushed the river in gold, Maelle whispered her own answer at last. Yes, she deserved happiness, and this time she believed it.